Shit. So, this was supposed to be a different stream, but I guess I'll have to rename it live because I fucked something up. So, editing. Hello, Valor. And then that. Hello. Let me check audio here. Yeah, cool. And then I need to change the fucking thumbnail because I had to edit something live because I forgot. I have too many scenes set up in OBS. I really need to clean them up. But I haven't cleaned them up yet, and as a result, when I select the wrong scene, I have to fucking go back and fix that shit. Also, I can take these off now. There we go. That's better. And then copy, copy, copy. Share this in fucking places. Live audience engagement stream. Actually, let's say audience interaction. And then that. And then live. Here. And then I'll send this to this. Hello. Chat is here. Share it there, share it. That is if it's going to let me share it places. There we go. There. Yeah. All right, cool. And then share it. Hello to everyone here. There. And there. So, hello to the 4 concurrent viewers. Feel free to sound off in chat. Hello, Frozen Binary Studio. It's been a fucking week. I've gotten a lot of background stuff done, and I'm on track to moving some stuff off my back burner. Which is fucking great, because I have way too many things on my back burner that have been piling up. Yes, live messages. I actually didn't remember. I am about to eat as well. I just got done with my workout, so I'm having fucking casserole thing I made, which is like green bean casserole, but with a bunch more things than green beans. Fucking lentils, chicken, carrots, onions, fucking a bunch of shit in here. Like it's a very robust casserole. So let me make sure I've got everything in order. And yeah, so to continue the thing I was saying earlier, hello UV. Um, the general idea of what I believe this whole anti-trans thing is fucking the elites need a way to distract you from the fact that all of them were connected to Epstein, and that predation against children is routinely used by the elites, who either just want to fuck kids or like using it as leverage, because like credible sources have said that Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset, and that the point, it was an op. He would get people in power to acquiesce to the deep state because they had to, or their fucking video would be released, or some information about what they did there at the island. So, they want us to forget that. They want us to forget that foster homes are a huge hub for trafficking. They want us to forget that fucking Catholic priests are still a problem in this regard, and that the Vatican City had an age of consent of 12 within the past decade. You know? I want us to forget that the oh so innocent and pure Boy and Girl Scouts are full of these people. I want us to forget that there are even more public school pedophiles, whether they be bus drivers or teachers or administrators or whatever. Also, hello, Earth Nerd. I forgot to say that. Then there are, like, trans pedophiles, you know? Or Catholic. Or, like, public school is one of the worst places to send your kid if you want to protect them from predators. You know, they want people to forget all this so that people still stick with the system, no matter how corrupt and evil it is. Because if you don't send your kid to public school, you have to raise your kid. And if you have to raise your kid, if you have to actually be there for your kid, you might not be able to be a two-parent working household. You might be less economically useful to them, so that they can't continue to, like, dramatically expand their empire, while empowering exactly the worst people ever. Get a little mucus in there, sound like Alex Jones. Completely accidental. You know, they'll get, like, this long series of corruption, right? They'll support Saudi Arabia. There's a huge pedo problem there. There's child brides still in the Middle East. You know, they talk about these Republicans repealing that law. Okay, fine. Or wanting to get the law preserved or whatever. Fine. Yeah, those Republicans suck. But the Middle East is a great example of institutional predation. And it's like, they'll still support Saudi Arabia. They'll still, you know, back whatever regime is necessary in order to maintain oil flows and, you know, metals and gems. And maintain a regional foothold so that they can continue to, you know, extract resources from there instead of the U.S. So that the U.S. will eventually be the only player in town with regard to precious metals and, you know, liquefied natural gas and shit. That's one of the reasons that they really don't like Russia right now. Like, yeah, fuck the Russian government, to be clear. But also fuck the American government, right? Because Russia, like, is, like, doing exactly what the American government has always done. And the reason America's upset right now is because Russia's getting a new shipping route north of their borders, because of the melting ice caps, which are also depositing resources for them. So they might not need to rely on the Western hegemony anymore, and neither, like, might any of the people in the region. They might not need the U.S.'s help anymore, so the U.S. has to make them dependent again by forcing them to repay war debts. Like, at least they get a piece of the pie, right? That's that sort of thing. So my point in bringing up all that is that like they will partner with truly evil people. You know, they're full of fucking like evil people, and pedophilia is just one of the ways that it's evil. And as far as I'm concerned, this is just their job. This is their job. You know? Like they're doing their job extremely fucking well. Um because their job is to be predators. They named one of their drones the Predator drone, you know? I mean, it couldn't be more straightforward than that. Also, be sure to like, share, and sub if you haven't yet and you appreciate what I'm saying here. There's a lot more where this came from. You know, like, I don't like it when people say the government is doing bad things so they're not doing their job. That is their job. It's always been their job. Like, the government isn't doing anything. Look at all these potholes. Yeah, that's because if the potholes aren't so bad that you can't still do your job for them and help them expand their empire, they don't give a fucking shit about the potholes. You know? UV says, this stream is so boring. Where's the Subway Surfers gameplay? You're right. I need that. I need the same haircut every other person has. I need a single earring. I need a sleeve tattoo. I need all the little accoutrements. I also need to have the occasional like moving emoji or whatever and a dog face filter. Are people still doing the dog face filter? Whatever. Yeah, I'm not Gen Z approved. Earth Nerd says, their job is what they say their job is when they say it's their job. Yeah. And they like they want us to believe that they act in our best interests. But fuck no they don't. You know? Fuck no they don't. Like, so their job, they're doing their job. Their job is to enrich corporations, maintain the power of the banks, maintain the military and intelligence industrial complexes, keep the police in power, you know. And so pedophilia just comes along with the territory. Right? Pedophilia is just where like they start the kids off young in a system that will eventually predate them anyway. And I oppose the system. So I can't really say that, you know, they're not doing their job. They're doing their job. They're just reaping some of the fruits of their predatory labor. Frozen Binary Dev says, is change possible, or are we all just slaves to corruption? Change is definitely possible, but it needs to start from a philosophically consistent root. Like, for instance, you go after this should be obvious to anyone. You go after big targets before you go after small targets. You strike the root. You don't hack at branches. And so, like, if I were to like look at the big targets here with regard to pedophilia, it would never be trans people. Because yeah, some of those people are creeps. Some cis people are creeps. Some straight people are creeps. Creeps exist everywhere. You know? It's so fucking absurd to say that because you saw extreme examples of some trans people behaving away, that it applies to all of them. Or that because there are some extreme edge cases of things happening of which, you know, I wouldn't approve and certainly other people wouldn't approve, that it applies to the majority. So when you end up with that mentality, like, yeah, we can say that about trans people when you say that gun owners are murderers. Because per capita there are a lot more gun owner like homicides than there have been like actual cases here. Right? And I don't want to do that. I support gun ownership. Alright? I think everybody should be armed. especially minorities, like trans people. I think everybody should be armed, and the fact that a few people, like, killed some people with the guns that they owned doesn't mean that we should all be disarmed. So, that's my case. I'm not gonna, like, sacrifice liberty on the altar of bullshit and hack away at branches while accomplishing nothing. So, I think the divide and conquer thing is designed to keep us against each other, saying, yeah, you know what? I don't like trans people. Instead of saying, hey man, the system is actually really fucked up and we should align with, like, whoever's going to help us take it down. Because a lot of trans people want the system taken down, believe me. And this is the kind of thing that people don't remotely want to understand. They don't give a shit. Like, I've been arguing for straight up days with somebody who refuses to have an official, scheduled, moderated debate. He said it's because he has an acidity disorder, so he can't schedule things in advance. But then he tells me that I should talk to him in the beginning of the fucking day, and just he'll be like, oh yeah, I can drop things later today. That's not how any of that works. If you can schedule things later in a day, you can schedule things days in advance. He didn't explain his acidity disorder, Valor. He didn't fucking explain it because he didn't fucking want to. And so, anyway, Frozen Binary says, I feel as if trans people arm ourselves, we will be treated the same way as the armed militant minorities like the Black Panthers. I.e., look how dangerous they are. But that's already the way it is. I mean, there are already people saying that, trans people are mentally ill, so you shouldn't, they shouldn't be armed. There should be background checks, and that should be stopping them from, buying guns or owning them. There are already Republicans saying that, and there have been for a long time, even up to and after the eradication rhetoric proposed by Michael Knowles at CPAC, and reified by other Daily Wire asshats, Steven Crowder, all these other people, and defended by the conservative Vox Populi. This has been the way it's been. People have been saying, oh no, these people are mentally ill, they should be stopped. And it's garbage. But it's already happening. They're going to Mulford Act whoever they can, because that's how Republicans maintain power. They say, oh, we're for gun rights, shall not be infringed, rah, rah, rah. But then when it comes to somebody they don't like having a gun, they're just like, yeah, no, you can disarm him, though. Especially if they say that about somebody who does not identify as he, him. Then they can really stick it to him. It sucks, and I'm not saying it doesn't, but saying that because this is going to happen, trans people shouldn't arm, that's the opposite of the solution. Because this is happening, arm up now. Get it now, before any legislation, so that you have as much force multiplication as possible in case it happens. In case they come to take your guns, you can say, Molan Labe. Yeah, it's pretty disingenuous. They just... I was all on board with shall not be infringed. I was on board with, luau, gang ohana shit, right? I'm not okay with this. And I've seen it way too fucking much. And as soon as, libertarian pages started making it clear that this is what would be profitable. Oh, yeah, also. That this is what would be profitable. This is what started to spread everywhere. Every fucking libertarian page started to just hammer anti-trans content. It's a shame. Frozen Binary says, "Oh, I believe that self-defense is a right to live. I'm not saying that we shouldn't prepare." Yeah, well, what I'm saying is that that's my answer to your thing. Not that this is what you believe, but that this is my answer, right? That, you know, if they're going to start treating you like the Black Panthers, you should probably act more like Black Panthers. That's my thing there. You know, I'm very much okay with radical action in this regard. Like it's like Huey Newton said, you know, any unarmed people are slaves or are subject to slavery at any given moment. If the guns are taken out of the hands of the people and only the pigs have guns, then it's off to the concentration camps, the gas chambers, or whatever the fascists in America come up with. Seems pretty straightforward and accurate to me. Valor. Oh, actually, it's a good thing you said the name Jester Kitty. Let me. Forgot to share live right now. There we go. Also, I should probably share it here. If y'all want to chat, because there are some people who just aren't exposed to my YouTube content yet. Do I have any opinions on monasticism? I mean, I think if you mean like being a monk, right? That you're going off to renounce worldly disputes. Well, the first thing is, I'll miss you. You know, because if you do that, you can't be on my streams. You're a monk. But the second thing is that you know, it's a great thing to isolate yourself and really like be at one with your thoughts. If you're like doing it for the right reasons. There are a lot of people who like they think they're gonna go over there and find their peace, but what they really find out is that they didn't have like the right answers to begin with. You know, I would hope that you wouldn't end up like that if that's what you're considering. But I mean, it's up to you if you do. At the same time, if you do, you can't really also be a therapist. So, you know, like you got to pick between the two. Because a therapist, you got to maintain a license, you got to, you know, have your office, you got to pay bills, all this stuff. Also, hello Jester. I forgot to send the link to the chat as when I started. So apologies for that, but I've been going for like 20 minutes on an like trans rights spiel. You can catch up on that after the stream's over if you want. But yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Oh, you're gonna do it after you. Yeah, Jester, I have this like this sort of short list of people that I like automatically send it to, and I just sort of forgot. But like, I will remember in the future. And also when I do lives and put out content, it'll be in there as well. But yeah, basically, like part of what the discussion was basically that trans people should get armed, that we're being put through a divide and conquer mechanism so that the elites who are really responsible for the evil and corruption in the world can get away with it because people are like divided. You know, they're not fighting alongside each other. They're not like fighting the elites. They're just sort of, you know, they're angry at the wrong targets because they're picking trans people as their targets. Hence all the people supporting like valid L's and shit. Valor says, I checked out your workout playlist. It's cool, but Byzantine chants are better for workout. I mean, that's up to you. Let me find my Last FM profile so that y'all can link up with me if you want. There you go. You can see what I was working out to before this stream by clicking that. Frozen says, I just want to do some good in my life so I can inspire people to do the same. I'm working on it right now. Good. Jester says, Valor says, Valadels is evil. Jester says, they get people to fight each other, and that fight fuels the rich dudes. Yep, yeah. Jester says, I could never work out to Byzantine chants. My mom is a chanter, and I really hear it half the day. I do think it's beautiful, though. Frozen Binary says, I've been a mega POS, and I didn't want that to be the thing I leave behind. I used to be a very shit person. I've tried to, like, improve, get past all that, for sure. Valor says, there was a fire in my neighborhood after I came back from the zoo. 2 houses caught on fire and burnt down. That's unfortunate. Was it, like, electrical, or was it just some dude being dumb? It's always more unfortunate when it's preventable and the result of stupidity. Also, yeah, the offer is still available. You know, fucking, if this guy wants to debate by actually doing, you know, fucking a scheduled and moderated debate, I'm down. But I'm not gonna play this game with him where, like, you know, oh, he literally, he did the same thing that so many other fucking people these days do. If you don't drop everything you're doing right now, I'm going, you know, I'm right. Like, no, fuck no. That's not how any of this works. You know, the fact that I'm not dropping everything at this instant because you want to talk doesn't mean I'm wrong, and it doesn't mean that you would win live. And the fact that I would want to schedule it in advance rather than, like, you know, hit you up on that day so that I can get a quality moderator, so that that moderator can make sure that the discussion stays on track, so that it's a good quality product, so that my audience doesn't get jacked off about it. You know, that isn't bad. But so much of this culture wants you to believe it is. Like, oh no, you didn't just drop what you were doing and, like, fucking entertain me. Like, fuck off, dude. I'm not even mentioning who he is, because I don't want, like, you know, a bunch of harassment to go his way in case he does decide to change his tune on this. In case he does decide to finally fucking watch my content and stop pretending that I don't have good points here. Valor says he doesn't know if anyone's okay. Jester asked. Nobody got hurt, but there was an ambulance. Also, there were so many fire trucks and police cars it blocked off the road, so we had to leave our car behind for like 3 to 4 hours and walk home. That's unfortunate. Frozen Binary says, good on you. You can't undo things, only learn from it and help others be better too. That way we can all better support one another. Yeah, it's sappy, but it's a worthy goal. Yeah. Jester says, people who don't allow for honest and fair debates aren't worth it. They want you to fail. Yeah, and also Frozen Binary says the instant gratification mindset is a time sink. Yeah, like they just want you to act like everything has to happen now. Like actual preparation and dignity are lost in a lot of these circles. I still remember to this day, this fucking day. Um I was saying to Eric July that I would debate him if he scheduled it in advance. And he implied that I was a bitch if I didn't just get on the stream with him right then and there. His stream, mind you. And I knew what this was. I knew what it would be if I did that, so I didn't. Right? And not only did I know that, but I knew it because he allegedly moderated one of the debates I was in. And then he just took the side of the other two people. And it wasn't supposed to be two people versus one anyway. It was supposed to be one-on-one. But then this other guy shows up, like, right prior to, and I'm like, okay, I can do that. And then he basically sided with them. And refused to moderate anything they were doing with me. He wasn't being a moderator. He was siding with them and basically not checking them at all. And then, like, later on, he fucking, like, promised to give me the file so that I could upload it for my audience. That was the agreement. And he never did that. He never made good on his word. So I had to download the file with, like, a Facebook downloader and upload it then, you know? And then, like, years later, he tells me that unless I get on his stream right fucking then and right fucking there, that I'm, like, you know, fucking automatically wrong. Like, fuck off, dude. Like, no, that's not the case. And, like, I told him, if you want to schedule something, I will schedule something. Let's make something that works for the both of us and get a moderator. Nope. And what did his stream turn into? He interrupted his guests routinely, you know. He interrupted them. He was using, like, routine fallacies. He wouldn't let them, like, have an inch to, like, say anything at all. I made the right fucking choice. But he still gets to act like the victor because I wouldn't, like, drop everything and just do it now. And fuck no, that's not how any of this works. Like, motherfuckers be on this, yeah, instant gratification grind, and they, like, you know, they like to talk about libertarianism being this highly intellectual and, you know, facts don't care about your feelings and all this, like, pursuit. And then when it comes down to actually behaving like the libertarians of old, they wrote fucking books back and forth to each other, and you won't take a little bit of time out of your fucking day to have a scheduled debate. Yeah, sure. You're doing liberty. You're doing you a heckin' liberty. I believe you. Fuck. Gah. Anyway, I gotta scroll up. We've got some comments to reply to. Jester says solutions and everything takes time. Yes, they do. And it takes, like, fucking so long to actually get to the root and then strike it. But it's much more profitable to, like, string it along and, like, only make content that benefits your particular bias. So most people aren't down. Most people will never be down for actual authentic debate and discourse. Oh, and this person thought I was vegan. What? How could anyone get that impression? How could anyone get the impression that I'm vegan? I have posted my food so many fucking times. I have posted the ingredients prior to them being food so many times. And there's so much animal product. What the fuck? So he clearly doesn't pay attention to what I post, and he wants to act like he knows me, even though he doesn't, like, give even the remotest little fucking scrutiny. Like, I eat beefy fucking chili dogs every goddamn week, fried in lard with cheese and this motherfucker thinks I'm vegan? What? It's fucking asinine. Anyway. Valor says, I think my friend is lying about dying and saying that they're the person on the account is their sister and they're refusing to reveal their voice. Potentially. Internets be fakers. Alexander Helig says, God save the king, hell no to the coronation soap opera. That's a valid take. Valor says he's considering moving to Wisconsin. That's a choice you could make. Alexander says, sounds like someone's trying to bait you. That's exactly what it was. Like, that's what it is with a lot of these people. They don't want you, they want to take, like, time to prepare. They don't want to take time to give a shit. They don't want to give you a quality product. And they certainly don't respect you. You know, they think that you have time to just, like, drop everything. I had shit to do on, like, every occasion somebody has, like, demanded that I do this. You know, I don't have fucking just, like, all the time in the world. And I'm not gonna be disrespected like, yeah, bitch, dance for me. Fuck off. I ain't your dog and nobody else is either. Frozen Binary says, I had that idiot edgy Sphinx try to invite me to some gotcha call while I was at work. He didn't even bother asking, just called me on Discord. I never even agreed. Yeah. I don't know who this edgy Sphinx is, but people be doing that. If you don't know him, it's me. Yeah, I have no idea who that is. UV says, we should have a debate about who's the best character ever. Spoiler alert, it's Luna. Subjectivity does not render positive debate results. Jester's, Frozen says, debate me on the best bird. Well, you know, crows, I have no problem with, right? But the only bird that's ever, like, spent any time with me from the wild has been a raven. When I was walking back from school for a couple weeks in high school, there was a raven who would reliably, like, land on me and just walk with me home. That was a good time. I don't know why it chose to do that, but it chose to do that. And then, like, after 2 weeks of that, it just, like, you know, fucked off and I didn't see it again. But it was an interesting 2 weeks. It would just, like, land on the shoulder. Fucking. Valor says, debate, the best person in the world is my girlfriend. I have not met her, but I'm glad it's going well. Also, I'm making a protein shake. Jester says, if you were a vegan, you'd be skin and bones, my dude. Yeah, like... yeah, like, me over here being vegan while I'm regularly posting about my whey protein shakes. Look at how vegan I am. Look at how fucking vegan I am. Look at how fucking vegan I am. I'm so fucking vegan, dude. Jesus Christ. Completely unserious motherfuckers. And he brought that up, right? He brought that up in a hail of messages to me, right? Because he was super mad that I wasn't, like, immediately taking the bait and, like, fucking off my entire day to argue with him. And so he sent me these messages. And one of them was like, and insert name told me you're vegan. I can debate you on that too. And I'm like, fucking. And then I asked who that was. And it's like, did you tell him that? And the guy was like, No, I think he has you confused for somebody else. Yeah, he confuses a lot. Ugh. Valor says, I wish I could have a chili dog on Wednesday, but I already said in Orthodoxy we have to fast every Wednesday and Friday. Well, you could just make it on a different day. Frozen Binary says, crows have reflective feathers that shimmer, and it helps them hide in foliage. Ah. Interesting. Valor says, my friend said there's a lot of Orthodox churches in Wisconsin, so that'll be good. Yeah. There's just, like, not a whole lot of anything there. I still remember it was fucking hilarious to hear, in the movie Dogma. If you ever want to watch a parody of Catholicism, that's a reasonable movie for that. But, they were having this conversation, and Alan Rickman's character fucking says that the two angels were punished, like, and the chick he was talking to, she's like, and let me guess, they were sent to hell, and he's like, no, worse, Wisconsin, for all eternity, for the course of human history, and it seemed to be mutually understood that would be pretty bad. Frozen Binary says, ravens are awesome. The ones where I live come to my house and scream at me sometimes. Not sure what it means. Ah. Minty says, Pol Pot did nothing wrong. Long live democratic Kampuchea. Long live democratic kombucha. Kombucha for everyone. Universal SCOBY. Healthcare. Frozen says, that's all a cover to deflect from how vegan you actually are. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, by the way, this is chicken that I boiled in black beans and onions that I baked the chicken with. It makes the chicken darker. It puts minerals into the chicken so you can eat it, and get, like, really good blood flow. Very good for post-workout. Today was a whole lot of, like, back of legs. Like, I did calf raises and, like, dips, or sorry, calf raises and bridges from heels. And fucking, I also did a bunch of knee tucks, which is where, like, you're like this, suspended. Was a good workout. And now I'm putting this into there, and it'll be in my abs and my legs by tomorrow. If somebody gives me $100 million, I will do the thug shaker. They would have to do it for that purpose, and it will happen. But it's not going to happen because people don't generally want to give me money. Although I will put these in the description, or well, sorry, in the chat here, so that people can throw support should they so choose. Adults, preferably. I think minors should save their money and not spend it on YouTubers. I don't like parasocial relationships with, like, kids in that way. There we go. Oh, and also, I guess those are just two different links in that same comment. Yeah, I'm not gonna take $100 from you, regardless. But that wouldn't be enough for me to twerk. If I'm gonna hoe, I'm gonna hoe for high price tag. Jester says, "Why do people care so much about vegans?" I I have strong opinions here. I'm not gonna say I don't, but my strong opinions are essentially that if you're vegan for anything other than ethical reasons, if you're vegan for nutritional reasons, for the most part, that's going to be really fucking dumb. But if you're vegan because you authentically care about the animals and you try to source your food from like authentically cruelty-free sources or like grow it yourself or something like that, if you're doing that, if you're on that vegan grind set, respect. If you're on any other vegan grind set, fuck no. It's a lot of the time it's not even better for the environment. Like, oh yeah, I get my fats from avocados and olives rather than fucking cheese and eggs. Well, so fucking what? Those are probably worse for the environment in terms of water use than cattle that eats waste grain, so that you can also have more vegan stuff you bought at Whole Foods. So I've got some strong feelings there, but I don't make that like a core part of my identity as anti-veganism, even though I've got like some relatively extensive rants I could go on in that regard. It's not my personality. My personality is much more interesting than I eat animal products and I hate people who don't. Also, there's a certain class of people who I routinely piss off by saying, fish is meat. If you tell that to a certain type of person, they will absolutely have a fucking aneurysm. Jester says, I used to fast. Sorry. We used to do just the fasting for Lent and all the feast days. We kind of stopped. I forget why. Valor says, I enjoy fasting. I didn't celebrate Lent this year, but I will try to celebrate it next. Also, hello, Minty. Earth Nerd says, imagine having such a shaken identity that you can debate personal choices. Yeah, I mean, I'll do a debate about veganism, but I'm probably not going to be on the side of the of the vegan. Like, I've made repeated and like very public posts about this on a variety of occasions, which is again yet more proof that he just doesn't fucking give a shit and that he didn't respect me. So I have no problem just telling him to fuck off. Valor says, I like the concept of fasting. It helps us connect with our mind. Jeremiah, there's a church at my mom's work, and one time there was a girl who said, God damn it, because she dropped something, and a nun went up to her and slapped her. I mean, I don't support that, but... Valor says, Jeremiah, is it weird my adult friend keeps talking to me about them becoming an 18-plus stripper? I mean, yeah. You should probably tell him to respect boundaries in that regard and not do that. Jester says, I have a friend who can't eat meat. It makes her sick. Understandable. And I'm not talking about her. Like, if you actually have a nutritional requirement not to eat animal products, then by all means, right? It's not true in the vast majority of cases, though. The vast majority of cases, people have all the necessary equipment and, hormones and enzymes necessary to consume the flesh, to be a carnist, meat mouth. All these things vegans call us. UV says it's impossible to be vegan because you eat microbes when you drink water and eat your own cells every day. Well, I will say, though, vegan is mostly just a lifestyle choice. Like, there is no zero death policy. So, like, vegans are still valid if they're doing it for ethical reasons, or, like, if they literally can't have meat. But, it's never going to be a zero death proposition, especially since the more they're finding out about plants, the more they find out that they actually have, like, at least a base level of fear response to being attacked. I'm not sure what you heard, none of Earth Nerd, but that's unfortunate. Minty says Mao did nothing wrong. Landlords deserved it. # landlord lives don't matter. Well, capitalist scum, Mao Zedong said that he would use state capitalism to achieve the dictatorship of the proletariat, but it never happened, did it? Owned. Mao Zedong is bourgeoisie. He's actually state capitalist, and his society resulted in the biggest state capitalist fascist empire with the most intrusiveness from the upper class, cementing their power, which means that you like fascism. Owned! Bakunin did nothing wrong. Marx's lives don't matter. Valor says, my ex-friend who claimed to be Christian said she hates all vegans and veganism. Up to her. Given certain interpretations of the Bible, it might be that, like, before things changed, God was commanding us to only eat plants. That every green thing was ours. And that later on, after that, he said, yeah, but you can eat meat too now, though. So, I mean, even by a Christian perspective, it's very odd to hate vegans. Because, like, if you read the Bible, it kind of implies that God wanted us to be vegan at first and then said, hey, yeah, well, you kind of fucked up the beginning there, so you can eat animals, I guess. Frozen Binary says, people don't talk enough about water usage. I keep hearing about... But the water cycle, though. The water cycle does not work swiftly enough for our current level of use. It's deeply concerning for me. It's as if people don't even care. Yeah, I have long conversations with my mother about that. We sort of brainstorm about ways to potentially handle that. In the case of me actually falling into a pile of cash and having some capabilities in this regard. Jester says, laughed at Meat Mouth. Yeah, Meat Mouth or Flesh Mouth. They've called me both of those. You flesh-mouthed carnist. You like having blood between your teeth? What are you, sick? You wild animal? Valor says, I want to try monastic fasting, but it's going to be really hard on my body, I think. That's up to you. But, it's hard on your body for a reason. Your body needs nutrients. I do not personally support that kind of fasting. I think people should, like, get as strong as possible, especially to fight the state. Earth Nerd says, I would not have gotten any of the body improvements I have if I didn't eat meat. Yeah, for sure. Valor says, I made a video today. I really like how it came out on my channel. It's FNAF related. Ah! Minty says, vegans are murderers. They eat living things too. Hashtags plant rights activist. Yeah, for sure. Frozen Binary Studio. Some vegan food is delicious, and I have no issues taking a break from meat every once in a while. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've talked about this many times. When I was a kid, I went on a field trip for the, fucking basically nerd program in my school, like gifted and talented, right? I went on this field trip to a Buddhist temple that's in California, and this Buddhist temple had this buffet of completely vegan food, and I just couldn't shut the fuck up about how good it was. Like, I'm not against vegan food. I'm just, it's not going to be my primary. For reasons. Earth Nerd says, I didn't hear what you said before you read what I said about personal choices. Well, I don't remember enough about that. But it should be there. Valor says, Jeremiah, can I ask why you're an atheist? I'm curious. So, I was a trained preacher growing up. I've read the Bible like 3+ times, front to back. And I found out that there's way too many discrepancies. There's way too many problems. There's way too much in my way of fully embracing it. The church was corrupt. I found out about, like, music licensing and the fact that they have to pay a huge amount of, like, donations they get. You know how, okay, maybe this isn't the case with you, but, like, have you ever seen a church where it's like a big fucking slideshow banner drops down and a projector projects the lyrics onto it, and it's always like the same PowerPoint backgrounds, same font, same everything? That's because they pay money to a licensing company that gives them the usage rights and, performance rights so that they can sing worship music. It's called CLI. And it's like things like that, little things like fucking the pastor drove a Mercedes while he was talking about helping poor people in Africa. Like, we installed some water pumps and we built them some schools, and what did those schools teach them? Oh, right, neoliberalism and Christianity through a neoliberal lens. We see it. We see what you're doing. And so all this, like, corruption gradually built up. The church didn't like me bringing up Bible verses. The church didn't like me questioning jack shit. I'm not, anti-theist. I think it helps some people. I'm not trying to take away from anyone here or anything they've lived. I just found out it wasn't for me, and that I wasn't really having faith to begin with, and that I couldn't really do that and be consistent in my other logical beliefs. I'm just, if it works for you, by all means, go for it. I'm not saying that everybody needs to be an anti-theist. I'm not saying that everybody needs to be Aaron Ra or they're not fucking awesome. All I'm saying is that it didn't work for me. I found out it didn't work. Like, there's still a lot of stuff in the Bible that I will 100% co-sign, right? There's great shit in the Bible, like fucking awesome, like, moral lessons, awesome, like, philosophical pretexts, great. Can't really endorse it as a whole, though. And if I can't do that, I can't believe, because the whole point is that you're supposed to believe it all or none of it. You're not even supposed to alter it at all, which means that most Christians these days, because they're unwilling to look into the original books, most of which you're not supposed to talk about in church anyway, most Christians these days are getting one of these interpretations that's been, like, heavily filtered through many lenses. Even the King James version has flaws. So like, there's problems. There's problems. There's so many fucking problems, and I just decided I couldn't really preach it knowing those problems. And if I can't preach it, I shouldn't believe it, etc. It all just came tumbling down. I'm not saying you have to be. You know, nobody should be entirely like me. Fuck that. I am fucked up. Okay? Do not be exactly like me. I don't want any fucking just order followers. I don't want any clones in my audience. But that's why I decided against it. It just eventually didn't make any sense to me. Earth Nerd says, Lamau, oh no, it would be a shame if I accepted that I'm an animal and felt no shame about it. Yeah, me over here with my flesh-mouthed green bean casserole with lentils and onions. I'm so evil. Look, there's a carrot in here. What did this carrot ever do to me? Minty says, animals deserve rights too. Vegan MS when I boil them alive and eat them. Yeah. What branch of Christianity? Pretty much not a branch. I mean, it was one of those ones that says, we just follow the Bible. Chapter by chapter, verse by verse. And, like, you know, it was one of those ones that's like, we accept everybody except those people. Valor says, yeah, it's at my fucking non-denominational church. I understand that and I respect that. I agree with the problems in churches and God. I hate the corruption, but I still try and stay to be an actually good Christian. Good. Yeah. I'm not knocking that. All I was doing was explaining why it didn't really work for me. Yeah. I wasn't saying anyone has to be me. People should not be me. I have made so many fucking mistakes. The whole point of this channel and everything I do is designed to get people to not make the mistakes and the intentional fuck-ups I have made. Oh, my life path has been way too fucked to say, hey, this is your template, son. Go at it. Fuck no. People should do better than me. Earth Nerd says it used to be a practice. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but Valor says, have you ever looked into Jehovah's Witnesses as a denomination? I don't like them. I think that they're one of the people who, like, alters the Bible to be, like, custom tuned to their ideals. And then says that these are the ideals that you have to follow. And then they go door to door and say, hey, you have to follow this now. And it's like, nope. Yeah, no, I'm good. I would invite them in routinely. When I had an apartment, I would invite them in. And I would say, you know, yeah, sure. I have a moment to talk about it. And then I would ask them questions that would make them question themselves. And the same people would routinely come back to my apartment. And really try with me. And my hope is one of two things. Either I convince them that, you know, that, like, I was correct, or that I made them so strong in their faith because they had to answer the best versions of these questions. So, you know, I don't know. I didn't follow up. Earth Nerd says he was non-denominational IIRC. Yeah, basically. Valor says, I remember on Easter my uncle, pastor, said something about the gay agenda. Your uncle would hate me. And good. Frozen Binary Studio says the rainbow-colored eggs are out to corrupt the kids with the gay agenda. Valor says, I think there's corruption within the Orthodox Church too, but I need to look into it more. Earth Nerd, historically, there was a time where Christianity was basically a practice you could choose, like minor BTOIs. Well, right now, I still follow certain tenets in it. Like, Matthew 7:4 is basically what I was saying by don't be me. Like, I've got problems. So many problems. So I don't want anybody to copy my template. I've got a log in my eye. I'm not going to point out the speck, Kant says, also, hello, Kant. JW Bible has been criticized by translators and scholars both of the Bible and of languages translated from. Also, blatantly cuts out verses, including from Gospels, if I remember correctly. It does. Valor says, I don't like my uncle, but I have a little more respect for him than I do for my pastor aunt because she's rude to my mom. Yeah, well, that's the thing. A lot of these people don't really follow Christianity. They don't really follow the Bible. They're not interested in being humble and, preaching from that point of humility. They'll even, pray in public, which is a thing you're not supposed to do. Every time one of these, mega church pastors has, prayed in front of the church to, a mass audience, they're breaking that fucking verse. You're supposed to make it as private as possible. Saying, the thing that you want to preach, that makes sense. As a pastor, saying the thing you want to preach makes sense. What doesn't is praying over that gigantic audience and also an internet audience and saying that that's valid scripturally. It's not. They really need to make that more private if they actually want to be scripturally sound, and they're not willing to do that at all. Minty says, imagine claiming Putin as some sort of defender of Christianity. He only uses Christian imagery the same way he does Soviet imagery to give Russians a sense of pride to defy the godless West. Yeah, basically. And the same with the non-Russian Orthodox churches in Ukraine. They all preach this nationalist identity because Christianity has widely been nationalized. My church handed out straight up fucking voting guides where they would give you a guide on the things to vote on. And that's not only anti-scriptural and anti-Christian, but it's also incredibly bad because they didn't give us the reasons. They just gave us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Literally participating in the electioneering, electioneering, where they were hey, base your entire political philosophy on what we tell you with thumb emojis. And so many churches are rah rah, red, white, and blue. Go America. We'll go preach on a military base and ignore the verses that say don't live by the sword. We'll ignore all of these verses that say you should love your neighbor and try to avoid war. Okay. So, Valor says, I want to attend Orthodox church, but both my parents are atheist. Wait, are you not? Yeah, you're supposed to pray in private. Let me let me find the verses about this. Pray in private verses. Also, I have my window open. If you hear any fucking noises, that's probably what it is. All right. So, I'm going to read you Matthew 6. And blow your mind here. Because there's something real wrong with a lot of the way Christians are preaching this. So, Matthew 6. Here. Let me get all fucking pastoral and actually seem like I give a shit. Move my balls out of the middle of my thighs here. Take heed that ye do not your alms before men, to be seen of them. Otherwise, ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. That being the money you're giving. You can't just generously give in public like it's a show to get attention for yourself. It's about enriching God, not enriching you. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. It's fucking cutting to the bone, motherfuckers. Because what he's saying is basically that these people have their reward here. They're getting their reward in all the adulations and all the praises people are supposed to give. Like, you did it! You did it! That's their reward. Their reward is not in heaven. That's what that fucking verse says. But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and that thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. So you're supposed to, like, not think a second thought of it. You're throwing your money in the coffer. It's not a public deal. It's not a donation bag passed around the church so that you can judge whoever doesn't put money into it. It's just, you go to the box, you know where the box is, you put your money in the box, and you walk the fuck away. It's not a public fucking spectacle. It never should have been. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues, and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. He says it again. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions, as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. It's so fucking good, yo. It's saying these people talk a lot. They say the things they think they're supposed to say. They repeat the things that they think they're supposed to repeat, but there's no power in that. They're just going through the motions, and they're saying it in public to get attention, because attention is their reward. Adulation is their reward. Nothing godly, nothing Christian, nothing of Christ is their reward, because they're speaking in front of people. They've got their fucking cult. That's their reward. They're donating in front of people. That's their reward. Be ye not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. After this manner therefore pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. So, all of this, and Matthew in general. Matthew is such a fucking good Bible book. Read Matthew, even if you're atheist. Especially if you're atheist. Read Matthew. It's so fucking good, dude. Because it drives a fucking spike into the heart of so much modern Christianity. It just says, hey, you're doing this for attention. You're doing this to get your rocks off. You're doing this so that people will say how fucking awesome you are and recognize you in the city. Shut the fuck up. This isn't about them. It's not about, your glory. It's about your personal walk with God. And if it's not, you've lost the heart of worship. Yee! That's a pisser offer. Clip that and send it to your religious friends. Like, holy fucking shit, dude. It's so good. And like Matthew also has like so many verses about like how to be, that if Christians followed them, they wouldn't be hated so much. And that if the normal person followed, they would be better people. Matthew's great. All hail Matthew. At least in terms of like the books. Actually, also, I was watching Preacher with Snick Rep on Twitter and Earth Nerd a while back, and they got into this conversation in this. Preacher is a very interesting show, and they get into this conversation in this diner about which which gospel is the best, and I had very strong opinions in this regard, and now now Earth Nerd is privy as to one of them. Fucking got lots to scroll to now. Also, let me glom some of this down. All right. Earth Nerd says Southern Baptist is a lot. Southern Baptist fucks the Bible. Southern Baptists do not give a shit about Christ. That's the reason Westboro Baptists broke off from that, is because they're the natural logical conclusion of that mentality with regard to the word of Christ and shit. Frozen Binary Studio, I've been better with Jesus' teaching since I started learning about Buddhism. There's a lot of crossover in the lessons. Yeah. Valor says, I love Orthodoxy, and I wish to stay forever. I'm genuinely happier within Orthodoxy than I was in Hellenism. Frozen Binary says, Thich Nhat Hanh wrote a book on how one can follow Buddhist practices and be a Christian. Send me a PDF. That sounds interesting. Valor says, nationalism is against Christianity. Oh my gods. God. Minty says, hey, Valor, that sounds a little pagan to me, mate. Yeah. Frozen Binary says, churches that promote political action should be taxed. Separation of state and church and all that. Yeah, right? Kant says, Matthew in regard to fasting in public. Valor says, yay, Jeremiah Bible teaching. You know, but I am a trained preacher. I think it probably came through in this, except when I was trained to preach, they would probably prefer me not to say fuck as much as I did. You know, what God worked in mysterious ways. This is all part of his plan, right? So, fuck it. Earth Nerd says, Lamau, Frozen Binary, gotta go fast in public, Matthew the Hedgehog, basically. Valor says, Jeremiah, what Bible translation do you recommend? I recommend the Strong's Concordance, so you can get many of them in one place. Earth Nerd says, Team KJV. Valor says, I remember seeing an image saying, if money is the root of all evil, why do churches ask for it? Well, that's because the same churches that say money is the root of all evil, are intentionally altering the Bible. Because the Bible says money is the root of all kinds of evil. It's not that it's the root of literally everything, it's the root of all kinds of it. Like, all sorts of things can be ruined by the love of money. It's not like the root of every evil, but it's the root of all kinds of evil. You know what I'm saying? And so they do that because then you'll resent having money and feel greedy if you don't donate. It's a manipulation tactic. They say money is the root of all evil. You feel guilty if you have too much of it. The bag gets passed around, and you pack your cash into it so that Martha down the way doesn't act like you're like giving less than you should. It's fucked. It's real fucked. The whole thing is fucked. Kant says it's love of money, not money itself. That too. Earth Nerd says greed. Frozen Binary says, gotta go read Matthew, Bible study Sonic. LOL, yeah. Earth Nerd says, greed motivation gets dicey real quick. Yep. Yeah, Corinthians is great. Although, remember, Matthew was a gospel in general. Corinthians was a book that was never supposed to be a book. It was a series of letters to the churches in Corinth. It was advice to them specifically. Same with Romans. Same with Philippians. That's why when you get to these books that were like more letters directed at certain churches, it helps to take that in context. Like Romans were persecuting Christians. So there were verses in Romans that, when properly translated, basically say, do what they say because, your reward is in heaven. And if they do kill you, you won't be able to continue preaching the word. If you do happen to end up in custody despite doing what they say, without violating the words of Christ, of course, if you can still do what they say without doing that, then by all means do it. That sort of thing. Romans 13 is about how to live in a world that wants you dead for your beliefs. That's what it is. It's not about do what they say because God wants you to. That's not only a mistranslation, but it's also bullshit. Because Romans were telling people to do a variety of things that were actively anti-Christian. So, the letters to the Romans were letters to those people on how to coexist. Like, basically, hunker down, bro. Lay low, stay in the trenches, and don't die. It wasn't about, hey, you, in the modern day, when your entire government is controlled by satanic pedophiles, give them your money and do what they say, or you're a bad Christian. Accept the mark of the beast so that you can participate in the economy, or you're a bad Christian. Fuck no. That's never what it was supposed to mean. So. Frozen Binary says, I have a Bible somewhere. I may check that out. Valor says, I also got a red panda plushie from the gift shop at the zoo. Ah! Kant says, John tends to be more mystical. Luke has links to Acts in regard to historical, and Matthew and Mark more general lessons. Yep. Matthew uber alls, basically, though, because, it has the best advice out of the Gospels. Valor says, so many Baptists are hateful. One of my favorite Orthodox channels said Mormons are polytheists. They are. They believe in such wild shit with regard to Jesus. Holy fuck. If you want to laugh, just look up Mormon Jesus and recognize that this song is a compilation of actual facts about the Mormon version of Jesus from a cartoon about it. Frozen Binary says, I don't know if it's been converted to PDF, but I can have a look. It's called Living Buddha, Living Christ. Well, just send me that, and I'll look it up on one of the totally legal sites at some point. Kent says, Your Word is an app that has multiple Bible translations. Old dude who comes to my campus and talks to people about God uses that app. It might not be a bad choice, but I don't like looking at screens if I'm reading a Bible. That was a personal choice of mine. I hated using a computer version of anything. Hated it. I would rather just turn to the page in the concordance. But I'm also fucking old compared to a lot of people, so. Oh, wow. Frozen Binary says, OMFG, are you talking about the Mormon Jesus rap? Yeah. That's to the background of Can't Touch This. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've used YouVersion. But I do not prefer it. You might be the youngest here, Valor. I do not know. Frozen Binary Studio says, accept the mark of Mr. Beast. So, Romans 13 is a chapter that includes things that statists use to claim that the Bible endorses statism. not only are they full of shit and have never opened a Strong's Concordance in their fucking life, but it's like transparently a letter to the churches in Rome, and it needs to be taken in context. So even if it said letter for letter what they were saying that to get past the censors. They weren't saying that because, you know, they really wanted people to suck Caesar's cock. So Kant says you might have Orthodox, since it technically has the Catholic Bible alongside Protestant. For some reasons, Valor says, for some reason, some guy at the zoo was yelling "God bless" around the zoo. Earth Nerd says, I want it said that Westboro Baptist and Southern Baptists are not the same. They're not. And I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying that they share similar roots for a reason. You know? They share similar enough roots because of the general style and the general, like, abrasiveness to actual biblical, like, soundness. Statism is the belief that government should solve problems. And statists are basically people who formed a religion around government, which is the majority of people who support government. They act religious about it. You know, they've got fucking temples they go to. They've got worship services. They've got, you know, fucking music they sing about it. They've got certain gods you can't criticize. They've got all this shit, you know. Also, Jeremiah, why did you ping me in your server about comparing me? What? I'm not sure what you mean by ping me in your server about comparing. Tag me in the tweet about it, or in the post about it. Let me know where that is, because I don't know the context you're speaking of. Kant says, founder of Westboro went back on some of his beliefs, became more tolerant of other people, including gay people, in his last few years. Yeah, I think I remember hearing something about that, but I didn't look into it too much. Earth Nerd says, the Southern Baptists I know reject Westboro as godless heathens. I mean, of course. Okay, let me look this up, because I think I know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to unbox that. That was me saying I'm not going to compare you to that, because I don't think that it's all on the same level. So that was my particular, like, stance in that regard. There are better and worse Christians, is what I was saying. And you're one of the better ones. Frozen Binary says, denominations of religions always shit on each other. Can't have a monopoly on heaven if there's competition. Earth Nerd says, I don't think anyone wants to be compared to them. That's accurate. Unless they're just deep cunts. The UN is just such a massive group of cunts. Holy shit. They just said, we want peace, silence the guns, hashtag stop war, hashtag incest in peace. What the fuck? Incest in peace? What the fuck is that? I think they meant insist on peace. I fucking hate that. Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's right there. It's right fucking there, dude. Fuck. Fuck. Kant says some poor intern's typo is gonna get them demoted, lol. Hopefully, but also just demote the UN in general. They suck asshole. And sometimes it's boy asshole because they've got issues with child rape. I can't just leave well enough alone. I have to take it always to that next step. Let me see if I can pop this open in a window here. It's currently hidden, so let's see about this. Properties. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll see. I think this should work. It's been a bit since I did any sort of media share kind of thing. Okay. Look at that. Look at that fucking shit, yo. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Man. If I fucked up that bad, there would be problems. But here we are. That's still there. It's been a while. They could have taken that down, but they didn't make that choice. This is... Look at this. Look at this. It's still here. This is real. I'm looking at it. It's fucking verified. They could have made better choices, and they still haven't yet. They've still made this bad choice. Anyway, now that we're done with that fucked up gosh dang shit, you can go on with the rest of your day. And not think about having seen that too much. Because that isn't good. And of course, I made that vague and general enough intentionally. If somebody wants to make that a fucking meme reaction, they can do that. Incest in peace. Holy fucking shit. Incest in peace is an oddly appropriate slogan for the global elite. Gotta keep them bloodlines pure somehow. Rich royal bloodlines, I'll say. Rich royal old money. There we go. I've made my incendiary tweet. Also, actually, I'm going to use speech rec here temporarily. If they really cared about peace at all, comma, they would probably try a little bit harder to not enable warmongers and be massive hypocrites by having peacekeepers rife in pedophilia scandals while they perform regime change, comma, and putting Saudi Arabia on women's rights commissions. I'll just say, and have, because I need this fit characters. I don't have Twitter Blue. Peacekeepers with a trademark symbol. Incest in peace, though, guys. %, they thought they were saying insist on peace. All right. Yeah, you're looking at the tweet. It's verified. It's the actual account, Frozen Binary. Dude. Kant says, "Oh, last thing, JH, because he's going to bed." He says Leo Convoy's looking over the doc, accusing him of stuff falsely. Might be something interesting to look at after. What? Oh, I have to watch this because yeah, he poked some holes in Cass Warfox's little bigot cult. And if there's is it a video? Let me know if you're still here, if it's a video or if it's some sort of like tweet about it. Because if it's a video, that'll be very interesting to watch, to put it mildly. His poking little holes in the fucking in that echo chamber over there that treated me like shit and lied about me being a pedophile because I challenged their bigoted garbage, and one of their members who's a violent drunk bigot who pointed a gun at somebody on a video call because he was that under the influence, challenging me to a bullshit debate, and saying Cass would be the moderator with no subject, no terms, no nothing. He just said, debate me. Very much like the people I talked about earlier, only this one's an obvious, violent, drunk bigot in Cass Warfox's server. And I got run out of there on a rail, but only after they stuck me in the censorship channel, which they call Gay Baby Jail. Because you can tell that a group is very interested in rational discussion when they have a channel where they'll censor you and keep you there if you break terms, if you break ranks, if you do anything against these people, they will censor you and start dogpiling you because they're pieces of shit. Full on. Full stop. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. That's the way they are. Like, I like pushed it down when I thought all they were doing is going against predators, right? But then they did it to me. And I know for a fact that they did it because they didn't like me challenging their garbage approach to dealing with things and people in general and what they allow. So when I watched Leo Convoy's video on that, I was like, yeah, I recognize that tactic. They used that with fucking me. Because they're garbage. And they do not like being called out about it at all. And one of them had the stupid bitch audacity to come at me in private and tell me, well, let me actually, instead of paraphrasing, which is something I might have to do, Let me just read you his comment because it should still be over here. Let me read you his comment. Where if it's still here, it should be. I don't know why it wouldn't be. Unless he deleted his account, that's always possible. Yeah, he might have deleted his fucking account. Okay, well, basically, he said something very similar to, you know, if you don't want to be lied about, just hop in the VC. Because they demanded I joined a VC so that I could be dogpiled in voice form as well, so that they could get their rocks off and probably also stream it to YouTube. And that didn't end up happening because I knew what they were doing and I didn't take the fucking bait. So, it'll be interesting to see what this doc was and where Leo stands on it. Fuck. Let me just... I'm scrolling up. Earth Nerd says, I like how our spirituality and Christianity discussions are far more peaceful than most of the ones I had before this was an option. Yeah, that's because, you know, valuing things like logic and reason really helps run a space. And a lot of these people aren't interested in doing that at all. They just want their fucking shit forced on people. For real. Like, a lot of these people don't act very Christian at all. And, like, there are also a lot of, you know, people who are, like, pagans, but they, like, and this is not directed at anyone here, but they, like, don't give a shit about what Christians actually believe, so they will attack straw man after straw man after straw man, or something like that, and Christians are on the defensive about, like, bad faith stuff. And it's like, you know, none of the discourse is good. The discourse is fundamentally poisoned. And I want to unpoison the discourse. I think that's the step. Frozen Binary Des says, UN endorsing incest Dujin was not on my bingo card. I'm still having trouble finding Orthodox communities. So many Orthodox Christians are bigots. Why are there so many bigots in Orthodoxy? I mean, because Christianity in general attracts people who want to justify their bigotry with some sort of higher purpose. That's why. Kant says, due to it being more traditional, same issue with Catholicism at times. Yeah. Earth Nerd says, I have a sharp knife of religious trauma in my gut. Yeah. Understandable. Valor wants to know if I want to hear a chant. I mean, you can use the Discord voice call method, and I will listen at some point. Can't really do it right now. It might be Invest in Peace. Oh, yeah, that would be closer. It might very well be that. And VNC are really close on the keyboard, so. Also says, Jesus, what the fuck is wrong with people? Yeah. Ah, yes, people who care about children have a channel called Gay Baby Jail. For real. For real, for real. Valor says, I want to get drunk as I feel I need an escape from reality for a little bit. I hope I don't get violent when drunk. Kant says, better not to drink. That's my endorsed position there. Meditation might help a bit. Priest from church taught small prayer meditation a while ago, where say syllables of Jesus for each breath, first syllable breathing in, second breathing out. Valor says, all right, I could try that. I wish I had a priest to talk to, honestly. Earth Nerd says, looks in pagan practitioner that uses the Bible. Kant says, is auto-blocking me from sharing link to Leo Convoy stream. Ah, well, you can either send it in email or, like, if you still have access to the rest of it, you can send it there. So, either way, there has not been much in the way of content this week. So I'll be covering comments next week, but I have a lot in the chamber for sure. A lot. Well, I will watch the stream at some point when I can. But I got about 14 minutes till the nightly D&D session. So I am going to call it relatively soon. But I have something in the chamber that I'm going to finish editing and post relatively soon, probably tomorrow. And that's what's going to be the case there. Valor says, Jeremiah, do you have any advice on how my friend can deal with an ex-friend harassing them? They need to establish boundaries and get a circle of people they trust to run cover in certain instances. They keep making emails. Blocking emails would be a good choice. You know, or just like primarily communicating with a different email address and not using that one. That might be a good one. Like, they could start a Proton mail or something like that and just use that one for a bit. And then once this person gets tired out of leaving all these messages, they can just delete all of them or archive them and use them as part of an evidence for a restraining order or whatever. Options. Either way, though, I'd be calling it. It's I think it's been a good stream. By the way, Frozen Binary Dev, I do one of these every week. So if you want to show up, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, y'all. And also, doing my last ditch attempt here that I need like 600 before tomorrow evening. So, if y'all want to support what I do, feel free. Because I need to do silly things like pay rent and expenses and shit. So that's there. And yeah, well, actually 580. I got some support the other day. In the form of work. I did some graphics work for this guy. So either way, yeah, this is a weekly thing, and I also address comments during it. So if you leave a comment on the content I post during the week, then I will address that as well. Also, if you're interested, Frozen Binary Dev, I have a Discord server. I could send you a link and you could chat there as well, and also get updated when I post content and go live. So let me know. Either way, be well all. Smash the fucking state.